It's night. Her room. The walls are bare now, boxes half packed, shadows in the corner where light used to live. Celia sat on the edge of her bed staring down at a photo. Her father, laughing in his uniform, arms around her mother holding a baby girl. Her. The frame had cracks, just like the story. The phone rang. She didn't want to answer, but she did. "Hey, Ma." Her mother's voice. "Baby, I heard they really let you go." "Yeah, I guess publishing isn't what it used to be. You know you can just come home. Just rest. You don't have to carry everything all at one time." "If I don't, then who will?" Another pause. The kind that mothers save when they know they want to say more, but they know it won't help. "It's a full moon tonight. Watch your dreams, baby." "Yeah, I will, Ma." She hangs up. She sits in silence. Fired, broke, alone, but free and ready. You know what? I should get started. I only have one shot at this. I have to try to make this work. Please. She lit the black candle, pulled out the ring she never wore, the one her father left behind, drew the circle in salt and ash. The photo went in the center, flame touching the corner, curling his face into smoke. Open. Time is the door. Let me in. The wind moved, but her windows were closed. The flame turned blue, the room dimmed, and just before the darkness swallowed everything, she saw him. Her father, far and away, reaching out. Then, nothing. Seoul, 1995. Minjae leaned against the back seat of the rideshare van, one arm draped over his bag. He hated these long commutes. Same streets, same neon, same tired thoughts. Then, he saw her, standing at the bus stop like she'd always been there. Long tan coat, skin rich and radiant under the street lamp. Her hair pulled back, eyes staring straight ahead, like she was looking through time. He blinked. She didn't move. The car kept going, but something in his chest didn't. Was she a ghost, a mirage, or just the most beautiful woman he had ever seen? Minjae twisted in his seat, watching her as long as he could. But the moment passed. The van turned, and she was gone. Her head throbbed. Her mouth was dry. She looked around slowly. Her body ached. It wasn't as smooth as she thought it was going to be. She blinked. She dashed down a narrow alleyway to collect herself. She touched her coat. Her bag was still there. Her ring, too. She stood up and brushed herself off, heart pounding. It worked. It actually worked. But what she hadn't thought was that she realized she had no phone, no money, and no father yet. She stepped out into the middle of the street. The signs, the cars, the clothes, the music, blaring from the nearby cassette vendor. It all felt like a memory that she had walked into that didn't belong to her. She wandered the streets for hours. People stared. She expected that. But what she hadn't expected was how many salons she found that would turn her away before she could even finish her sentence. Her Korean was clumsy. Her accent was thick. She knew few words, enough to ask or to gesture or to smile politely, but not enough to convince someone to hire a foreigner. Still, she kept walking. Her feet were so sore when she finally saw it. A tiny wooden sign painted with a swirling lotus hanging above the door, tucked between a laundromat and a tea shop. The scent hit her first. Sandalwood, lemongrass, clove. She knew deep down in her bones this place would matter. She stepped inside. The shop was dim but warm, lit by paper lanterns and filled with shelves of dried herbs, stones, scrolls, and oils. She ran her finger over the jar of mugwort, then paused in front of the small altar. Pili Johan K. Snayo. Do you need something? Saleha turned. The old woman stood behind the counter, watching her. Sharp eyes, soft hands, maybe late 60s. Saleha bowed slightly, fumbling with her words. Oh, yakcho 있어요. Do you have this herb? She pointed to the jar of dried ginkgo root behind the woman. 시간 약초, time herb. The woman narrowed her eyes. 왜 필요해요? Why you need it? Saleha hesitated. Then she smirked. Time travel, she said in English. Then she repeated in Korean, thinking the woman would never believe her. 정말요? 시간 여행. No one in the world would believe that, right? But the woman's expression didn't change. She stepped out from behind the counter and walked closer. You came through the smoke, didn't you? She said in imperfect English. Saleha froze. How did you... The woman nodded slowly. Your kind comes once in a while. Not often. But when the world tilts... She trailed off. Come, sit. 앉아요. Saleha obeyed. They sat cross-legged on the cushions in the back of the shop. The woman poured tea from a chip teapot. My name is Heyron. I've been waiting for someone like you. Saleha blinked. How could you... The veil thins every 30 years. I knew someone would be coming eventually. Just didn't think she would be so pretty, though. She chuckled. Saleha smiled despite herself. You need a place to stay? Heyron asked. Saleha nodded, desperately. Heyron poured more tea. Then, this is where your story begins. The rain had stopped by the time Minjae stepped out of the van. His apartment wasn't far, a quiet corner near the edge of Mapo district, where the city's noise softened into low hums and the smell of frying oil drifted from late-night kitchens. He adjusted his collar and exhaled. The night air cooled against his skin, but his mind wasn't calm. He kept seeing her, the woman at the bus stop, tan coat, stillness in her eyes. Not fear, not confusion. Something else. Something heavy. Like she had come from somewhere she wasn't supposed to. Ridiculous, he muttered under his breath. You just imagined it. Seoul was full of strange moments, faces caught in the light, the way memory sometimes lies to you. He laughed, shaking his head. A foreigner, he said to himself. And me, what would I even say? The idea of it made him uncomfortable. And, secretly, alive. Minjae was a man of structure, a software designer. Code and logic were his companions. Predictable and neat, he liked silence, he liked plans, and yet tonight, his world felt like static. Clean, organized, impersonal, the way he liked it. A single desk by the window, half-finished project open on his computer screen. The hum of the refrigerator, the tick of the clock. Ordinary sounds grounding him back to his life. But her face, that brief flash of worry, that searching look, it kept replaying in his head. He rubbed his temple, annoyed with himself. Get over it. Opening the fridge, he pulled out a pan, some sesame oil, and set it to heat. garlic, rice, leftover kimchi. The rhythm of the cooking was his own kind of peace. His hands moved automatically, but his thoughts didn't stop. What was she doing here, standing in the rain looking so lost? And why did he care? He sat at the table, spoon tapping lightly against the bowl. The window reflected his face, and behind it, the faint echo of hers. Minjae took a deep breath and tried to let it go. But something in him already knew the next time he saw her, he wouldn't be able to look away. The alarm went off at 6:30 a.m. Same sound, same ceiling, same routine. Minjae blinked into the gray light that seeped through the blinds and reached for his phone. No new messages. There never were. He waddled into his same routine, boiled some water, cracked an egg into instant ramen, and ate standing up, staring at the muted TV news, mind seemingly blank. The anchor's voice blurred into static. Something happened overnight, she said, but not here, not in his apartment, not in his life. The subway was crowded, but he barely noticed. Everyone's faces looked down, same glow of phone screens, same expressions of half sleep. He used to think he liked the quiet. Lately, it just felt more like disappearing. At the office, the day unfolded in codes and corrections. A bug in a new program pushed a deadline back. His team leader's voice sharpened. A co-worker sighed too loud. "You're too slow, Minjae. You need to be more assertive." Words he's heard all before. He smiled politely, nodded, and stayed late to fix everything himself. By the time he left, the building lights were the only thing that was still burning. The next morning was no different, except for it was his day off. He didn't set his alarm, but his habit woke him anyway. He sat at the kitchen table with a cold cup of coffee, watching the steam fade, the quiet pressed against him. He thought about the woman from 2 nights ago, the woman at the bus stop. He told himself he was over it, but his mind replayed the way she stood there, her tan coat, and the way her eyes seemed to search for something invisible. Ridiculous, he told himself. But his chest felt something different that morning, like he was on the verge of doing something that he's never done before, something that was going to break the pattern. The streets buzzed with the early traffic and the low conversations. Minjae walked without purpose, or so he told himself, until he passed a small cafe, its windows fogged from the heat of the espresso machine. And there she was, the woman from the bus stop. Celia stood at the counter, awkwardly clutching a few bills, pointing at the menu, trying to pronounce the words. The cashier tilted her head in confusion. Americano. Celia tried. Hot, please. Minjae hesitated at the door. He could just walk away, stay invisible like always. But something in him moved first. He stepped forward. Americano, 한잔 주세요. Dr. Kale. The cashier smiled in relief and began to prepare the drink. Celia turned surprised. Oh, thank you very much. 감사합니다. Minjae gave a small bow, shy but steady. It's okay, I saw that you were confused. Story of my life, really. He didn't know what to say next, but for once the silence didn't feel awkward. It felt like something was beginning to start, something he had been waiting for without even knowing it. The cafe door chimed behind her softly. Thank you, Celia said. 감사합니다. Her voice gentle but uncertain. She offered a small smile before stepping out into the daylight. The sun had come out, pale but steady, and the air carried a smell of the roasted beans from this food from the nearby street cart. For the first time in days, the city didn't feel overwhelming, just alive. Minjae watched her through the glass, with that same polite smile that was still on his lips, the one that he gave when he didn't know what else to do, but as she walked away, something in him tugged loose. He lingered at the counter, pretending to check his phone. Then he reached for his cup. His reflection in the window looked back, calm, composed. Too composed, really. He stepped out into the sunlight. Celia turned right, moving slowly down the block, squinting at the street signs, one hand brushing a coat pocket as if checking for something. He hesitated, taking one step, then another. Not close enough to be noticed, just enough to feel like the gravity was deciding for him. Ridiculous, he told himself. She's just someone I helped with a coffee order. But his heart wouldn't listen. At the corner, she paused, looking both ways. Then he froze, glancing as if debating to take another direction. The breeze lifted, carrying the faint hum of chatter and the smell of jasmine from the passing vendor's cart. For a moment, he almost convinced himself to walk away. Then, excuse me, sir. Chokyo. The sound was soft, but it hit him like sunlight breaking through a cloud. He turned. Celia approached, holding the folded paper. Hi, I'm sorry, do you speak English? A little, he lied, nervous laughter sneaking through. She stepped closer, unfolding the handwritten note from Hanrei. I'm trying to find these places, she said, showing him the list with mixed English and Hangul. It's errands for a friend. Minjae leaned in, scanning the paper. Ah, yes. These places are close, nearby, especially this one. This one's very close, about 10 minutes, really. He looked up. I could show you if that's okay. Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Minjae nodded, and something inside him unclenched. He smiled, not politely this time, but softly, like someone remembering how. Tamanachi, he said, of course. And they fell into step together. The sunlight followed them down the street. Two strangers pulled by something neither of them could name. The air between them carried a quiet kind of ease, that new cautious calm that follows a shared laugh. Celia walked beside Minjae, coffee still warm in her hand, her eyes scanning shop signs she couldn't read. Are you sure it's this way? She asked. Minjae smiled. I think so. Most herb shops are tucked away, old ones especially. They turned down a narrow street. The neon hum of cafes and phone stores faded into something older. Small wooden doors, chipped paint, handwritten signs curled at the edges. The first shop was dim, barely lit. Inside, there were shelves lined with jars of dried roots and pressed leaves. Celia leaned toward the counter. Hello, 안녕하세요. I'm looking for this. She unfolded Hanrei's note. The old man behind the counter squinted, then shook his head. 모르겠어요. Try somewhere else. She bowed her head slightly, mimicking what she'd seen others do. 감사합니다. No luck? Minjae asked. She shook her head. Nothing. He acted as if I asked him for poison. He smiled faintly. Maybe to him, you did. They shared a small laugh before walking again. The next street was tighter, darker. The kind of place that people passed through, not stopped in. The second shop had no sign, only a faded curtain and the faint smell of smoke. Celia hesitated at the door. Are you sure this is okay? Minjae nodded once, but his eyes scanned the space around them. Something about the silence pressed too close. Inside, the shopkeeper looked up from a pot of steaming herbs. His eyes flickered to Celia, then to Minjae, then back again. What are you looking for? He asked flatly. Celia, unaware, began to unfold the paper again. This one, But Minjae froze. From the back room, voices carried through the beaded curtain. Low, sharp Korean tones. Who's that? 누구요? Henry again? Yeah, she's sending foreigners now. You know what that means. She's doing something she shouldn't. The men laughed under their breath until one saw Minjae's shadow near the doorway. The sound stopped instantly. Minjae straightened and stepped forward, giving a polite bow. "Excuse us," he said, voice tight. "We were just leaving." Outside, the afternoon light hit too bright. Celia walked quietly, clutching her bag. "What's wrong?" "Nothing," Minjae said. "Just, let's not go back there." For a few blocks, neither of them spoke. Then Minjae finally asked quietly, Who are you here with?" She looked up cautious. "I told you, just a friend." "And, where'd you say you were staying again?" She smiled faintly, trying to lighten it. "Why? You want to visit?" He didn't smile. "No. I just want to make sure you're safe." Her steps slowed. "I'm fine. 괜찮아요." He nodded once, but he didn't believe it. The silence between them stretched until they reached a small street landing, back to Hanrei's shop. When Hanrei opened the door, her face lit up in surprise. And something else. "You work quickly," she said, eyes darting between them. Celia blinked. "What did she say?" Minjae hesitated. "She said you made progress." Hanrei's smile deepened. "왔어. 왔어요. Come in." Celia stepped inside, but Minjae stayed near the doorway. "You're staying here?" he asked. Hanrei answered before Celia could. "For now. She's safe with me." Minjae frowned. "You barely know her." Celia raised her hands. "Okay, guys, are you two fighting over me already?" she said, forcing a laugh. But Minjae's voice turned low. "This isn't funny, Celia. You shouldn't trust people so easily." Hanrei's expression hardened. "And you shouldn't meddle in what you don't understand." Minjae stepped closer, voice firm now. "If you're into something illegal, I'll call the police." Celia grabbed his arm. "Wait! No, guys, stop. It's not what you think. Minjae." Hanrei snapped. "Kumate! Enough!" But Minjae already pulled out his phone. Please, stop. Hajima. Please don't." In the struggle, her bag fell, scattering a few folded papers and a notebook and her ID. Minjae bent over to pick them up. He froze. The card was old, but the photo, it was hers. But the date of birth, the issue date. He looked up, his eyes dark with confusion. "이거 뭐야? What is this?" He held the card closer. "Fake?" Celia's breath caught. It's not fake." "Then, what is this?" "Please," she said again, her voice trembling now. Just don't tell anyone." Hanrei stepped between them, her tone cold but steady. "I think you've seen enough for today, Minjae." The room went quiet, except for the hum of the old ticking clock behind them, the seconds stretching longer than they should. Clock ticking faintly in the background. It's starting to rain outside now. Hanrei stood still. Her eyes didn't leave Minjae's face. "You think you understand everything, don't you?" she said softly. "Systems, rules, proof." Minjae frowned. "What in the world are you talking about?" Hanrei took one step closer. Her voice lowered, not angry, not soft, but knowing. "Don't be so high and mighty. Don't be quick to judge others. You, of all people, should know what it's like to ask the universe for something impossible." He froze. What in the world? I know you, she said. I know you asked for this. For her. For a long time. Minjae blinked, his logic fighting against something deeper rising in his chest. This is ridiculous, he said, reaching for his phone again. I'm done with this. I'm calling right now. Han-Ray's tone sharpened. If you call the police, she warned, you'll ruin your destiny. That stopped him. His finger hovered above the screen, breath caught between disbelief and something older. Recognition, maybe? He looked at Celia, eyes wide, pleading, confused, then back at Han-Ray. You both are insane. 미쳤어요. You're crazy. He turned, heading for the door. Wait, Han-Ray called out, her voice trembling now, the first crack of emotion. You felt it, haven't you? Haven't you? That pool? Minjae stopped, just for a second. She continued. You couldn't explain it. You didn't want to. Her eyes softened. But it's there. Since the first snow. He turned halfway, cautious. What are you talking about? The train, she said quietly. You wore a gray coat, 3/4 length, 4 years ago. There was a snowstorm. Her voice steadied, calm again. I was there. I bumped into you, and I placed something in your pocket. He froze completely. Her eyes glistened. You still have the coat. I know you do. Check it. If you don't believe me. He left. No words, no anger, just the sharp, shattering silence of disbelief. His apartment was darker than usual. He dropped his bag near the door and stood for a long moment, staring at the ID still in his hand. Celia's picture, the date, it couldn't be real. He stood, opened a closet, and pulled out the half-packed donation box. Inside, the gray coat, the one he hadn't worn since that winter. He ran his hands down the pockets, once, twice, and then stopped. Inside, a small drawstring pouch, and next to it, a necklace, a thin chain with a heart-shaped locket. He opened it slowly, empty, but warm. He sat back, staring at it, then at the ID again. Celia's eyes, the old date, the weight in his chest. Something told him this was real.